Let's start with a launch. I'm just gonna mat it. Welcome back, I'm Tedward at Garage 42 in Woburn, Massachusetts to drive this Tesla Model 3 Performance. And in a world where it's often us versus them, Tesla is the them. Car enthusiasts and internal combustion engine fanatics have really hated the rise of Tesla and electric vehicles, but there is something to be said about performance that has never been reached. Never seen these types of torque figures down low, never been able to do some of the things that you can do when you have 2 or 3 or 4 motors in a vehicle. Wait, looking at you, Rivian, with your tank turn. And although it weighs over 4,000 pounds, the Model 3's battery is what takes up most of that weight, and that's located way down low in the chassis, so it handles quite well despite its chunk. Now, this one is not going to be your affordable daily driver. It comes in at just over $70,000, primarily because A, it's the performance version, hitting 60 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds, and B, it's optioned with autopilot. In the trunk, we've got loads of space. It's kind of a funky design back here because you've got this nice deep space. And then here, you can pop up and there's even more because we don't have an exhaust to worry about. But you can see that this glass comes all the way down over that trunk. So when you're loading it, it's more like loading it into a truck rather than down into a typical sedan trunk. It's got these goofy looking hinges, and goofy is kind of like the word to describe a lot of the appearance of this vehicle, but I guess goofy can be charming. At least I certainly hope so, because my Tinder profile is not gonna do me any favors if that's not the case. To open the front, we can hit this little button in there, and then because we don't have an engine or anything really hindering us up here, we've got just enough space for a little bit. Now, this is kind of a cool piece just from a manufacturing standpoint because this piece of plastic is one single injection mold. So it's not multiple pieces. That's got to be a big mold. But anyway, we've got the important things here, our tow hook in the event that things go south. So all I really want to know is, how does it drive? Could I live with this day to day? Are the haters really in the know when it comes to this car? Because there is a lot of hate. There's also a lot of love from the Tesla purists. And I think that gets very frustrating. Let's start with a launch. I'm just going to mat it. Oh, God. It just scrambles your brain and you feel it in your chest. I don't know if this can translate to video. I really don't. The nose of the vehicle jumps up a bit because remember, this is a static suspension. But there's just no noise. There's no drama. There's nothing to indicate to anyone around you that you've just done something very bad. Steering wheel is quite small in the hand. And I guess that's fine. That's a sporty thing to do. And it's not too chunky. I think a lot of automakers go way too chunky on their steering wheels. I'm looking at you, BMW. I don't want to hold a giant wheel. I just, thinner is better. Thinner is actually sportier too if we go back in time a bit when you look at old vintage Ferraris and Porsches. So please, bring back the thin wheel. This is kind of somewhere in the middle, nothing crazy. And let's try to look at this objectively. It's a car, right? It's a $72,000 car, so maybe we have some opinions about that. But obviously, if you're new to Tesla land, you first notice there's no normal dashboard. We just have this big center display, which is fine. But my issue with these types of displays is just that there's so much in it. There's so much going on here, and I actually have to take my eyes off the road to focus. I love buttons, and it appears that, have we found LARPers? Are these LARPers, or are they like playing Quidditch? What's going on here? I appreciate the weird kids. I was a weird kid. Good job, weird kids. Keep wearing capes. Keep wearing capes. But if you're going to buy a Tesla, don't be a jerk about it. So seeing that everything is controlled through the center stack, we've also got our HVAC system set up through here. And that means even the vents, where you point the vents, is controlled through that center stack. So if you want to add air coming through over there, you just tap it, which is brilliant. It's so cool, except that sometimes, you think, well, what if it breaks? What if this screen breaks? Well, you won't have a whole lot of control over your vehicle. That is a problem in my eyes. Now, for some who only keep a car for, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, that's probably not something that you care about. That's not something that you're going to worry about. But for me, even the fact that the mirrors are controlled through here and then adjusted with the steering wheel buttons, that does give me some pause that owning this out of warranty would be a frightening endeavor. Now, the other side of this too is that battery technology is quickly improving and changing. And while you could look at the current market right now for used Teslas, they're fairly strong. It could always be the case that suddenly the new battery comes out, the new fast charging, long range, you get 1,000 miles, it charges in 10 minutes, all this great stuff. I mean, that could happen, that could drop. And then suddenly all the old world EVs are just in the toilet. The thing you spent $70,000 on now is basically worthless. So this is a dual motor, meaning 2 motors, very shocking, right? But we have a motor up front, we have a motor in the rear, so we do have all-wheel drive. We can power all 4 wheels with this powertrain. Normally in my reviews, I don't show traffic. Do I sit in traffic while I'm making them? Absolutely, but it's not very interesting. Except in the Tesla, it is interesting because this is, to me, why you buy this vehicle. I don't have to worry about oil temperatures or water temperatures. I don't have to think about this poor internal combustion engine starving for air in 100 degrees Fahrenheit in a hot New England summer. And when I'm sitting here at idle, I'm not idle. When I am sitting idle, I'm not listening to an engine attempt to maintain an idle. There's a huge portion of your anxiety and emotion attached to your engine that I think you don't recognize exists within you until you drive an electric vehicle. Until you drive an EV that takes all of that away, you just have no idea that is really something that's stressed you out. Because you're listening, I mean, maybe some of you are clueless, and that's fine. No, good for you. Like, I don't mean that as a down thing. I mean, like, I wish I didn't notice everything. I wish things would just fly over my head. But, when I'm sitting idling in my M3 and I notice that the revs drop a little bit, my heart drops. I think, oh no, this is it. The car's gonna die on me. I need to do this, I need to do that. There's all these repairs that are gonna be required. But in the Tesla, no. It's on or it's off. I really don't think there's much in between. And chances are, if it's already on, you're fine. Something I haven't really heard anyone discussing when they get into Teslas, because everyone just wants to talk facts, figures. They want to give you all the technical mumbo jumbo details. And to me, it's getting boring. I'm bored. Like, I don't even understand all of it. I don't care. Is it fun to drive? Something that stands out in this vehicle for me is a seating position. I feel very low in the car, and I don't know if that's an illusion because I am sitting on top of batteries and I'm not sitting on the floor, but I have this nice low windshield, almost like a McLaren. And it's crazy when you're comparing cars like this to a car like that, but that's the truth. And it does feel really good to drive. It does feel like I have incredible visibility, and because there's just compromises that don't have to be made to fit around an engine. And that's where Tesla just has this edge on a lot of other automakers that aren't able to do certain things. All right, ready? We're gonna make a pass. Off we go. Passing a Prius in the Tesla Model 3. That's what you want. You want to flex your EV prowess on that polluting hybrid. Yes, that's what you want to do. Oh my goodness. This thing moves. So it does die out up top just a bit, and that's kind of the mark of electric vehicles. You get that psychotic 60-foot time, and then it falls away. So you're not going to beat anybody up to 120 or 150 miles an hour. That's not going to happen unless you have the Model S Plaid, which I've been told, haven't driven, haven't been in, but I've been told that one just pulls like a freight train forever. Hope you appreciate the Sandlot reference, because I love the Sandlot. Look, we're doing it too, but then we're going to slow down because there's a cop ahead. Let's jump on the highway. What's incredible too is that it's just silent. No one's the wiser, There's a state trooper there. I can kind of jump on the highway, get in it a little bit, and I'm not offensive. You could launch control this in the middle of a city and you'll be just fine. Oof. Good luck, little Toyota.
The ride quality on the highway is probably where Tesla shows its novice beginnings, because the suspension is certainly not comfortable at highway speeds. I can feel all the imperfections of the road transferred into the cabin, and not in a sporty fun way, but more in a, we need to work on our suspension technology kind of way.
So let's try autopilot. This one is equipped with autopilot. It shouldn't be anything new that you're seeing on YouTube, but it's worth noting that it has it. It's doing its job, keeping me in my lane, keeping my speed. And you know, it's only improved. The only thing that really bugs me about Tesla, and if you're a Matt Farah fan, if you like the smoking tire, then you know that there's some lies involved in autopilot, because the name autopilot already, it's assisted driving. Autopilot makes it sound like it can do everything itself, and it absolutely cannot. While it is incredibly capable, and of all the assisted systems out there, I think Cadillac had a nice one for a while. GM seemed to not really go through with it, but this is good. This is really good, and I'm impressed by it, and it'll change lane. Let's see. I'm gonna tell it to move over. There we go. It's just changed lane by itself because I gave it a blinker. That's wonderful. Or a directional. Is that what you want to call it? I'm from Massachusetts. I call it a blinker. Get over it. But otherwise, the only thing that's kind of annoying about it on the highway is road noise, and part of that is fictional because it's not that it's not there. It's just that it turn autopilot off, jump off the highway. It's that there's no engine to be distracted by. You know, it's just me in the car. So road noise is amplified. You notice wind noise, you notice certain things that otherwise maybe you forgive in other vehicles because it's not as prominent, because you have an engine that you've got to think about. How does she handle? Ooh, low center of gravity is so impressive. This thing really moves. I am blown away by the way this handles. I mean, yes, we're not talking about low weight because we've got 4,000 pounds to play with, but we have capable brakes. We've got low center of gravity. You know, there's definitely like things happening when we talk about traction control systems, and I'm sure you can turn that off a little more when you go into certain track modes, etc. But it is genuinely impressive how sporty and fun this electric vehicle, this like commuter car can be. Anything bad that happens to a Tesla immediately makes the news, you know, and some people are just stupid. Like, don't fall asleep while autopilot is on. Don't get in the back seat while autopilot is on. That is really dumb. And those people deserve everything that's coming to them, whether it's legally or, you know, just Darwinism. Things happen. Let's punch it from like 40 miles an hour. Just see what happens. Ready? Oof. And it tracks so straight. I mean, there's no torque steer. You wouldn't expect there to be. Yeah, I just have to say that I find the driving experience to be far better than I remember in the earlier generations. And it's something to also be said about the way Tesla improves upon vehicles. Obviously, we have over-air updates, so they can change things without necessarily having to bring it in for service. You know, you just get in your garage one day and it has new features. They've really improved the steering feel. There's still like a little strangeness kind of like on that on center. It's not awful, but it's there. This car's come a long way. These are really impressive vehicles now. The tricky thing for me is price. I want the speed. I want all of this, but I also don't want to spend $70,000. And that's a very odd thing because based on its performance, it deserves to cost every bit of $70,000. But because in my brain, I'm like, well, it's just some motors and a battery. I want this for 45. You know, that's going to be a tough thing to get over. God, this thing is just a rocket. It really is fast. Like, this is genuinely a fast vehicle. I don't know. I always thought you had to get like a P100D Model S for that kind of stuff. And I think it's just really important that, you know, even the internal combustion diehards give these cars a bit of a chance because, you know, there may be a day where you're driving a really cool EV day to day and enjoying that relaxing and safe environment on your way to work every day, and you go home and work on your supercharged Chevelle. Like, what the hell? Why not? You know, I think we can have both worlds. I would love to have both worlds, where on the one hand, we're doing wheel stands at the drag strip in our toys, and on the other hand, we are cranking light to light in, you know, 3 seconds in our EVs. I just wish we could all be a little more objective and not get so caught up in the politics of cars, because I feel like the politics of cars have really separated people into camps. And while sure, it's annoying to read about it on the internet, and I don't like to look at all the bitchy comments, it has homogenized the field. And I hope that in the future, if I am forced to only be able to drive EVs, which I don't think is going to be totally the case, but I hope if I'm forced to drive EVs that there are a lot of options for fun EVs, and there's still going to be track-ready, accessible vehicles that, you know, we can all appreciate as drivers. as much as I appreciate the safety features, including autopilot, which I think can be a safety feature, but the problem is I think a lot of people use that as an excuse not to pay attention. And to me, that's no longer a safety feature. If it's enabling people to just stare at their phones or fiddle with things, like, just drive, man. And I wish automakers, that's the curse, right? The easier it is to drive a vehicle, the easier it is to not have to drive a vehicle. And to me, I don't like that. So, all that being said, take a look at the Model 3. It's definitely more car than you'd expect. At the very least, give yourself the opportunity to do a 0 to 60 launch, because, oh my goodness, it'll scramble your brain. You really won't want to do another one. Like, you won't. It's good. You'll be just nauseous enough to know that it was fast, and that, holy cow, can't believe what they'll come out with next. So, thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you to Garage42 for offering me this drive in a fully electrified vehicle with loads of torque and 2 motors. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's do another launch. This thing moves.